Welcome to Women in Leadership Talk, where you'll hear from successful women who are empowering other women with their stories of adversity, resiliency, and success. And here is your host, Vicki Bradley, founder and CEO of Women in Leadership Empowered.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women in Leadership Talk podcast. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We always love having our listeners chime in to hear the amazing stories and women that we have joining us to share their life's journeys. And hopefully that'll have an impact on you in some shape or form. So thank you for showing up today fully. I'm delighted to welcome Lori Rogers to our podcast. Lori, thanks so much for chiming in today and visiting with us.
Yes, I'm happy to be here, Vicki. Thank you so much.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. And I'm going to give the audience a little bit of background on you so they understand why I invited you to come and join us. And, audience, I was just saying to Lori, this is all about, if we're sitting in each other's living room, just having a conversation, getting to know each other. And it's the same for you, right? You're sitting here in our living room, just getting to know each of us as individuals. And so thank you for being here. So Lori is the president and co-founder of Rogers Marketing, which is a multi-million-dollar woman-owned business. For 25 years, she and her team have cultivated client relationships, driving franchise-leading sales and recognized leadership in her industry. Back in 2011, she began implementing these practices of positive activity, and she witnessed this exponential growth in business, life, and the lives of those that are around her. So she helps audiences do the same by implementing simple daily activities and mindset shifts that attract a life-changing experience. Positive activity. I love it. And more timely than ever because we're inundated, right, with the opposite. And so thrilled to have you here, Lori, and to give some practical exercises and tips to our audience on how they implement positive activity into their life and that mindset shift. That's so important. But let's start with maybe share a bit about your journey. You mentioned you had a son earlier, but the journey you've been on and what has allowed you or enabled you to really craft this niche on positive activity.
Sure, of course. So yes, we own Rogers Marketing. I own it and run it with my husband, Neil. He's my partner into this as well. And we've had the company now for 27 years. I got
wow. Okay, you got to update that.
I got those extra 2 years. So
excellent.
I always know because my youngest son was 3. And so I gauge it by his age. He just turned 30. So and we're chugging along. We started in 1997 and we're chugging along doing our thing. And I thought I was going to be the, admin over here doing the backup work because I was raising 3 children. We were raising 3 children as well, but that's not exactly the way it worked out. And I became, a salesperson, a consultant in the business as well, which is kind of funny because I have a master's in math and I'm very logically centered and I didn't go to school for marketing or whatever. Now that's what I do. So it's kind of funny. And, we were chugging along. Things were great. I did grow up as a bit of a worrywart, a bit of, a perfectionist. I shouldn't even say a perfectionist and a worrywart and wanting to get things done well and right and doing it myself and, all of those symptoms of that process, which, was fine for a while until 2011 when there was a recession. Our business went down. Our clients were losing their jobs or not existing, canceling orders, So there was all of that, that heart-wrenching.
Oh, yes.
Right. And at that time, we have a son diagnosed with autism who was transitioning out of the high school arena into the adult world. So all of that was new to us. We didn't know where he was going to go, what he was going to do, what was going to happen there. And then my daughter was a Division I athlete in college, and she was home recovering from a head injury that she suffered on the field. So that was a whole something.
A lot.
Then concussions it was different. It was just a lot, and it was stressful for her and for us. And we were worried and we were anxious. And at that time, I didn't have the skills, the activities, the resilience, the wherewithal to sort of deal with all of that in a big nut, like all of this heavy weight on me. And I said, okay, well, all right. And I'm, you're trudging through, thinking negative thoughts, saying negative things, worried every day, anxious every day. So one day my daughter couldn't drive. So she asked me to take her to a wellness fair. I said, sure, what's a wellness fair? But sure, let's go. And we went, and it was at the fair that I was introduced to the concepts of what you say, what you think, what you believe with deep emotion is what your subconscious brain taps into and sucks up and says, oh, that's important to her. She cares about that. So my subconscious brain is thinking all of these negative things were important to me, right? So when I changing your perspective or a lighter way of being. And I was kind of annoyed, A, because I was in my 50s and I didn't know any of this. B, that I didn't learn sooner. And C, just the whole thing. I'm like, all right, so that summer I was sitting on the beach and just looking at the sand and the beautiful sky and the ocean. And I thought, oh my gosh, I do want to change. I don't want to live like this anymore. If all I have to do is time and effort and thinking about things in a different way and changing my words and my thoughts, my beliefs, and these other activities, then okay, fine, I'm going to try. So little by little, I started changing, and I would have Post-it notes up all over my office. So if I said, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay our suppliers this month? And then I would flip it on its head and I would write on a little yellow sticky note, my suppliers love and respect me. There is plenty for everyone, including me. Abundance is flowing to me. And I still have it I still have the Post-it notes. And I just would put them all over. So anytime something negative would come into my brain, I would just pull a Post-it note out and write the opposite and try and put that on my wall.
Love it.
Make me think of that. So as time went on, I learned other things to do, like an appreciation practice and meditation and exercise and other activities that I teach now. And as the years went on and I studied more, learned more, read more, went to more programs and workshops, I'm like, oh my gosh, these things are scientifically backed. These activities are scientifically researched, right? To raise your happiness level, to raise your vibration, to help you think more positively and creatively, to increase your sales, increase your productivity, a longer life, a healthier life. I was like, okay, I'm in. And I've got to teach this to people. I don't want another woman or man for that matter to go on in life without knowing that they have the power in them to make their lives different. And so that's how the workshop started. And back in I guess it was like 2015, 2016, when I got brave enough to teach people this, I would go, and it was mainly women's workshops because of my circle, and to like sales teams, entrepreneurs, women that were like consumer direct selling, like a jewelry business or makeup business or whatever they had. And then as it got bigger and bigger, we'd get invited by our clients to come in and talk to our clients, to go to a wellness fair or to go to their HR team or their sales team and do the presentation. So that's how it started. That's how it began. It was just sort of this organic thing that happened. And then one day I'm like, I just want everyone to know about this. Yeah. It's free. These are things you can do in your home for free. Yes, it's time. Yes, it's practice.
Yes.
But if you've reached a point where your anxiety and your stress and your feeling of overwhelm is just too much, why not give it a shot to sort of lower it? Now, did that cage of fear and worry soften and start melting? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, it did. Do challenges come up every week? Every day, when you're running a business or whenever, when you have, disabled kids? Yes, of course. Challenges come up every day. But now I have the skills and I have the practice to just not go down in the ditch.
Yeah.
But, you know, my level of optimism or joy might go down a few notches, but I have the tools and the resilience to get back up.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's how it started. And that's sort of the journey.
I love it. I love it. So many things you said there. So first of all, kudos to your daughter for dragging you to a wellness fair.
She goes, Mom, I think I got my head cracked open for a reason. Because
I was just going to say that.
It opened our lives. I'm like,
yeah.
You're right.
Well, and things do, when you're ready, things do appear, right? But you have to be ready and open. And clearly you were. I mean, a lot of different moving parts coming at you, from work to family to, you know, your own personal well-being. So that is amazing. And there is so much power in that mindset shift. And just for audience's purposes, because I've had this said to me, this is not about being, you know, Pollyanna thinking or positive toxicity. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about an intentional practice of shifting your mindset, because you do have a choice. And I am firm on that one. You have a choice as to what you think and what you put into your mind, your body, your soul, your emotions. And Lori, to your point, you're going to experience things. Yes. And it will test you, and you might respond differently given that situation, but and I'm going to stop talking, but you have the skills now to shift that, right? And now you're teaching that to others.
Oh my gosh, Vicki, that's a beautiful way to put it. I like to call myself a rational optimist. And what that means is, no, my head is not in the sand. I know there's pain, there's suffering, there's job loss, there's illness, there's stuff. I have a son with a disability, for crying out loud. Of course, I know, I'm aware what is going on around me. What I say, what I like to live it as, yes, this is here and that's happening. It does me no good. It does my community no good, my family no good, my world no good if I'm in the ditch with that.
Yeah.
And my belief is that all of our energy is connected. So as optimistic and compassionate and empathetic as I can be is going to lift everyone up. So what I try to live by is, even though I know this is going on, can I stay over here and be the best I can be today to help everyone? And I don't want to, someone did call me a Pollyanna one time. I'm like, oh my God.
That's why I brought it up, because I've been called that too.
I know. I do know. And how can we not know? It's all around us. It's all around us, right? And I just send love to that. I send loving energy to things that bother, that may be upsetting. And I just try to live in I guess I would call it parallel.
Yeah.
So not above it, below it, under it, but parallel to this stuff happening. This great stuff is happening too.
Yeah.
So that's the way I try to look at it.
Well, and I love that, because that is truth, right? Like, yes, there are things happening. We all know it. We all see it. We feel it, because it is impacting so many of us. But there is also these amazing things happening, or I should say, and there is all of these amazing things happening. And it's important to, one, recognize that. And it's so funny. Like, okay, so I'm going to digress for just 2 seconds as an example. So I just got off the phone with my mom. Okay. She's older. She's having issues. She was diagnosed in November with Alzheimer's. And she was also diagnosed with a heart aneurysm.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we have been scrambling and trying to navigate this and figure it out, because I live in a different country and I am her primary caregiver. And so we've been working on this, figuring it out, blah, blah. And she's angry and resentful and, all these things. Yes. And so in early March, sorry, we're still in March. In early March, she we had an appointment with a neurologist, and the neurologist said, "Oh, she doesn't actually have Alzheimer's." And we're like, "Really? Okay, this is great." But she has all the symptoms of Alzheimer's. But it was stemming from her worry, her stress, and depression.
Wow.
Today, she had an appointment with the cardiologist. And he said to her, "You do not have an aneurysm.
Oh my gosh.
Your blood pressure is just fine as long as you keep it regulated where it's at." And so I'm saying this because my mother was in that, I'm going to die of this aneurysm. Life is over. Like, she was in that cycle. And I said to her, "You don't have Alzheimer's. You don't have a heart aneurysm. Now can you start living again? Because you are a powerhouse woman that has so much to give to this world."
Oh, I love it.
And she just laughed and she went, "Okay, but," and I went, "No, there is no but. There is no but. You do not have these things. You are alive, and let's start living." So I'm saying that to reiterate your point about what we feed ourselves with. You could hear the laughter in her voice. You could hear the relief in her voice. And she now has a choice, right? And so what you're describing, Lori, is just that. It's not about being in this, head in the sand. It's very much about, here's what's happening. How do I want to show up with it? How do I want to respond?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are days when I don't respond very well. And in those days when that happens, I end up either calling back the person or emailing back the person. It's like, "I am so sorry. I reacted that way." After an hour or two of thinking about it, like, you settle down, you calm down, you're like, "Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed the way I reacted to that." So now it's not that I don't get snarky or I don't get anxious and I don't maybe snap at people sometimes. It happens, but now you're like aware and you can fix it and you can be like, "Oh man, I didn't need to do that way. That was, so I love that." But I love the story of your mom. I just love it because no, Mom, you don't have to believe that anymore.
Right.
You're healthy and well and amazing. Go live your life. That's great.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Well, and I think sometimes normal, like as human beings, we get caught up in the story.
Yes.
Instead of how would we rather be living it? How would we rather be experiencing it? How would we rather see it? Right. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you're focused on positive activity. And so you talked a little bit about affirmations and that being important and surrounding yourself with that. What are other tools or mechanisms that you've been using to generate more positive activity?
Sure. So in the morning, the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up, when your brain is in that sort of phase between deep sleep and then, getting on with your day, it's very impressionable at that time. So I noticed I was waking up thinking of the things that probably worried me the day before. So now I have this card on my nightstand and it's just positive statements about today. You're productive, the day is flowing well, and even if challenges come up, you've got the tools to handle it. You can make the phone calls you need, like all of these positive things instead of the worries of the day before. I started doing that like a month ago, and that's like a game changer for one thing. Then I go to the bathroom. I'm going to take you through my morning. Then I go to the bathroom, and I read The High Five Habit about a year ago.
Yes, Mel Robbins. Yes,
yeah, it's awesome. So give myself a high five. I look at myself in the mirror, say something kind and wonderful to myself, because it may be the only nice thing I hear that day. Who knows? You never know.
Yeah. Good morning, sunshine. You rock this.
I'll do that. And there's all kinds of research behind that, especially for our children. So if you have young children, that is the coolest thing you could do to them in the morning is give them a high five and a hug. I just think it's amazing. And then I grab my journal and my coffee and I write 3 unique things that I appreciate. So it's 3 things that you appreciate and why from the day before, from the last 24 hours. So you're cultivating that beautiful, amazing, appreciative feeling in your heart. You're thinking about that event and why you appreciate it. It could be as simple as, oh, my child thanked me for making them blueberry pancakes, or whatever it is. Oh, I'm so appreciative that this embroidery order is working out and it's all going to be okay. You know, it could be big things or little things, something that just makes you feel good. So what we're doing is we're training our brain, which by default looks for danger and worry and things for us to be, you know, aware of and protected from. So we're training our brain to look for more and more things for us to appreciate, as opposed to the danger. So, you know, we're born this way. Our amygdala just works that way. It's the way we were our survival since, you know, the reptilian brain. So there's nothing wrong with us. It's just we have the power to change that software program. It's still going to work. If you walk into a street and a bus is coming at you, you're still going to be able to get out of the way because it's still going to work, but you're sort of like tempering it a bit to look for more things to appreciate. So I love that. And there's tons of studies on that. Then I write down, and by the way, this takes me all of about 15 minutes. It's not that long. Then I write down within something that happened within, it's called conscious recall. Something that happened in the last 24 hours that made me laugh, that made me smile, that made me feel good, you know, an event, a story, time with a friend, out to dinner, whatever the case may be. And you think about that, you bring in all of those great, you know, feelings again. And what's so beautiful about our brain, this amazing tool, is it doesn't know whether this event is happening right now or it happened yesterday. So you can trick your brain into, you know, releasing all those great hormones and chemicals again to feel good, even though it's really not happening right now, right? So I love that. And then a conscious act of kindness, which is usually for me an email or a text or a note or a phone call, thanking someone in your sphere or your world or in your one of your children's lives or what have you, that's wonderful and amazing, and thanking them for something. And what that does is makes you feel good for reaching out to someone to thank them. And also that person feels really good and they may do it for someone else. So you're causing this ripple effect of joy and positivity and appreciation, which I think is very neat. I try to meditate between 5 and 15 minutes a day and 30 minutes of exercise every day. So those are the pieces of the pie that are researched, science-backed. You can listen to Sean Achor on YouTube. He's got a great TED Talk about these things. And it's 12 minutes and 53 seconds of awesomeness. And his name is Achor. And he talks about his research at Harvard and Stanford and MIT, where they researched these things.
Right.
And I was like, oh, for crying out loud. How can, you know, A, how can I not do it? And B, how can I not teach this?
Yes. Sorry, what was his first name?
Sean.
That's what I thought you said.
Yep. SHAWN.
WN. Okay.
Yes. I've never met him or anything. I talk about him all the time. One of these days I'm going to like call him.
He's had an influence on you, right? He's helped you shift that consciousness, which is huge. And he's given you research to support that.
Right. And then I try to shift my perspective each day when challenges come up. I'll say, and this is hard to do in the moment when you're in the storm. It's better sometimes like the day or two later is like, okay, how is this event, issue, challenge, problem happening for me as opposed to me? How is this happening for me? And if that can sort of soften what's going on, and you can say, okay, I had a challenge yesterday with an order for a client. The embroidery wasn't looking good. We needed to make a shift. And an idea popped in my head. It's like, oh, Lori, why don't you just change that font style a tad to make it a little more rounder? It'll probably be better to embroider that way. So the key is when your mind is more optimistic and positive, you're more open to hearing these thoughts these ideas that are coming in. They're always coming in, but sometimes we're so anxiety or worry ridden, we don't pay attention, or we're not noticing or whatever. So these things, these synchronicities, these little things come in all the time.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. So I sent the art to my artist. She redid it. The embroidery looks so much better. It's all going to be fine. So little things like that. So changing my perspective. And also the realization and the understanding that, I grew up believing that you work hard, you get good grades, go to a good college.
Most of us, yeah.
Charge ahead, and then you're going to be happy. But in essence, this research shows our brains work in a totally opposite direction. Get yourself in as much joy and positivity and happiness as you can. And those things that you want, your desires, your goals, your intentions, have a better chance of coming to you. Our brains work in the opposite way. Those things flow to you. So it's like, how did I not know that? I didn't know that.
Well, that's universal laws as well, right? And so I love what you just shared there, because someone I was talking to just earlier, they made a comment. They said, it's interesting, that shift, right? Of what you were just talking about. Do we see things that are happening as a mistake? So is it misery or miracle? Right? I know, isn't that good? Yes. Yes. And I have to give credit to Sakane Golak. Like, she's the author of The Human Touch, and she talks about whether that mistake is misery or a miracle. And that's such a perspective shift when you think of it that way, right? Because, just the example you shared with your daughter and her saying, Mom, maybe I got that, my head knocked open. And that was for a purpose bigger than what any of us even realized. And we know these things happen all the time. Like, I have my own health issues, and it completely changed my life. And here I am today. Right. And so it's choice and what you do with it, how you respond to it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. All right. I wrote that down. What I like to say, I love this even better though. Is it misery or miracle? I like it better and I tell my kids this, that experience, it wasn't a failure. It was a learning experience. Everything's a learning experience. You learned something through that. I don't know I have to go back and listen to see whose podcast I was listening to. And the interviewee said, every day when I came home from school, my father asked me, okay, how did you fail today? What mistake did you make today? Teaching her that was a good thing to do every day, because you're not afraid to try. You're not afraid to try. And when you grow up being a perfectionist, you're afraid to try.
100%.
Yeah.
Listen, I have one of those. I have a son.
Breaking my heart. That's
yes. And he's afraid to try, because he's like, well, what if I fail? And I go, and what if you succeed? Right? Like, you won't know, because you're 100% not going to succeed if you don't try.
Yes.
So that's a guaranteed. If you do try, you have a 50-50 chance. And what do you learn? Right? To your point, like, oh my gosh, like some of my best learning in my life has been through a situation where either I failed or things went completely opposite to what you were saying earlier. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, if that hadn't have happened, this wouldn't have happened. And then this wouldn't have happened. Right.
Right. And the tough part is keeping the faith, because sometimes when you're in the storm, you don't see it yet. Maybe 100%. A day to a month, maybe even a year later, honestly. It's keeping the faith in those storms that I think these activities help you do.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So, Lori, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, because I'm curious I know you do team and culture work. What are you seeing in, maybe, and definitely not naming any organizations, but what are the themes or patterns? And I have my own thoughts and feedback on that, but what do you see happening, and how are they resisting or accepting some of these positive activity practices?
Mm-hmm. What I see in workshops and one-to-one mentoring is people don't feel appreciated in their corporation, in their small business, in their whatever. And I did read something a few months ago. The number one reason people leave jobs is not over salary and money. It's because they don't feel appreciated and lifted up. And so I feel like workshops with the managers, right, or account managers or department heads to understand this and to understand to keep a great team, to keep great employees, you want to be, your mindset, your energy has to be as uplifted and positive and optimistic as possible. Because the research does show you managers that are more optimistic and positive have better teams. They stay longer. And just
they're more productive.
And higher incomes, and which isn't always everything. I mean, it's something for sure. So that's what I see. And I also see sometimes people don't know how to make a shift and make a change. So I give them, okay, day by day, baby steps, do one of these things each day, and if people are miserable in their career or their chosen job or whatever, what I ask them to do is sit and write down and think about, how do you want to feel every day? Okay, I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel honored. I want feedback that knows I'm doing a good job. Or if this isn't good, tell me in a great way. Like all the emotions you want to feel every day, doing your job, doing your career, write it down, feel it, go there every day in meditation for 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it is. Because that's what your subconscious brain will search for.
Yeah, 100%.
So even if you can't have that new job tomorrow, or it may not even be a new job, it may just be having the courage to meeting with your manager, meeting with your VP, your boss, and saying, I really need this from you. Having the courage to advocate for yourself.
Oh, most definitely.
I'm thinking, this is what's missing right now. How can we make this happen? And if it can't where you are, maybe it is time to make a change. So if like the VP of sales or the VP of HR calls us in to work with their departments and their teams, they hear this and they know this too, but it is more about teaching those employees these activities that can help keep them, more optimistic and positive. And the managers hear it too, and they understand. So everyone hears it and they want to make the shifts and the changes. And entrepreneurs are a different breed. Like entrepreneurs are amazingly awesome type A people, right? And for the most part. And I love teaching them as well. It's different when you work for a company versus over here and you're an entrepreneur. It's two different types of presentations in a way. So it's the same message in a different way.
Sure. Makes sense. Well, you have to meet your audience where they are, right? Yes. And deliver it in a way that they can unpack it and utilize it, which is super important. I think maybe because I know we're getting close on our time here, but maybe could you share an example of someone that you've, worked with that has had great success with implementing the positive activities?
Sure. So I was working with a young woman who her company started out as a family-run small business, and she was in it every day, just feeling great. And it was positive feedback all the time because it was a small unit and a small unit of people. It got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and she felt like just a number. Okay. So I was working with her, and I said, all right, you know how you want it to be because you had it over there. Yeah. You don't have it that way now. So let's think about, like I just said, think about how you want it to be. maybe write your statements down, put it on your vision board, pictures of it. Go to that feeling of appreciation, of joy, of fun, of flexibility, of being honored. And go to that every day and meditate on that, on those feelings. And that's what your subconscious mind is going to bring to you. Mm-hmm. So she did make a switch and a change, and things are going great and going well. And another group of women that I worked with were entrepreneurs, and I wouldn't say all of them, but many of them saw increase in sales because the research shows that on average, your mind, when it's more optimistic and positive, sells on average 37% more than your mind that's negative or neutral. Yeah. So who doesn't want that? And not any more work. So we really worked with them it's not about 80 hours a week. It's not. I don't believe it is. And that's the way I teach it. It's about having the openness to hear the ideas, get the great ideas coming in. When you're more open and positive, the productivity flows better. So it's being about more productive. And so when you're an entrepreneur and you're doing 12 different things a day, to be more optimistic and positive about those things and then watch your sales increase is really cool. And then I teach them to do the it's so easy rule. So I'll say, if you say something for 72 hours, 50 times a day, let's put it this way. It's an is so easy statement. So for this group of women, I had them do making more in 2025 and working less is so easy. So they were like, oh boy, I don't know if I can buy into that. I said, well, just keep repeating it. And I read in the book, and I stole this from someone else. It wasn't my idea. This is research. And you say that 50 times a day for 3 days. Whatever you say at first, and then you add is so easy. Your subconscious brain is like, oh, okay.
That's easy,
right? We can do that. Mm-hmm. So making more and working less in 2025 is so, now this happened in 2024. So it was easier because it kind of rhymed. So making more and working less in 2024 is so easy. See, it rhymed. So it was nice. In 2025, it doesn't rhyme, but it's the same thing. Is so easy. So instead of telling yourself every day, oh, this is so hard. I've got to make phone calls. Oh my gosh, this is so difficult. Why isn't anyone calling me back? I'm never going to sell anything. No. Let's try this. And it was really fun to watch their progress each month.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's a great share. I think that's, know, because I hear a few things there. It's that practice, building the muscle, catching yourself with thoughts that don't serve you, reframing them into thoughts that do serve you. Yes. And we're all guilty of that because, listen, we all have those days, right? And so it's not about beating yourself up. It's about having grace with yourself that, hey, oh, yeah, I thought that for a second, but that's not really how I feel. And you shift that perspective. Yes. Your brain is very... it's very fluid. You definitely can shift perspective. I was talking to a client the other day and she kept talking about how she couldn't do something. And I was like, but what can you do? Oh, she just stopped. She just stopped.
Beautiful.
Oh, and I went, yeah, let's focus on what you can do, what you are doing, who you are actually being. And that's a defining moment in how we show up as individuals, right? And I catch myself. I know the end of 2024 when my mom was having these issues, I felt my own energetic vibration going down and I wasn't as optimistic and feeling the possibilities that I would normally resonate with. And because it was a lot, right? Because I'm trying to figure out, oh my gosh, how do I manage her care from a different country? And how do I do all these things? And eventually it's not been that long ago. I sat back and I was like, okay, of course you will manage it. Of course you will. Look, you've ran multi-million-dollar businesses. Stop stop talking this way. This is one aspect. So for our audience's purposes, it's important to focus on what you can do, not what you can't.
Oh, I love that. That's a great message.
Thank you. So, Lori, we got to wrap up, but what would be one thing when our audience hangs up from listening to the podcast today? They're probably walking their dog or, on the drive to commute to pick up the kids or commute home from work. What's one thing that they could do and implement immediately to start having that positive impact?
I would say when you get home and get your dog inside and wipe them down, go to the mirror, give yourself a high five, and say something nice to yourself.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
That you're going to have a great day. You're getting all you want done. And even if you don't, there's always tomorrow. And you're amazing and worthy and beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. It's important to be reminded of that. And most important that you are reminding yourself of that. Not somebody else telling you. It's you remembering who you are. Yes. Oh, Lori, thank you so much for joining us. Your energy is beautiful. Thank you for being here and sharing your journey with us. I know it's not been easy, and I love the resilience that you show and how you're showing up and responding in the world. So thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Vicki. This was great fun.
Oh, good. And just really quickly, where can people find you?
Sure. Well, positiveactivity.net is our website. So our emails are up there. You can link to our Facebook and our Instagrams on the website. On Instagram, I'm Lori, Loria Rogers, Positive Activity.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. And audience, thank you. We know you have a choice as to what podcast you listen to. Please do share this episode, especially if you have somebody in your life who needs that boost of positivity, or maybe they're feeling stuck and not sure, what are some things I can do to start to come out of this. Definitely share this episode with them. And also, don't forget to leave us a review, give us a like. That's how we grow. That's how people find us. And, we work hard to bring you these amazing guests. And so please take 2 seconds and just give us a like on whatever platform you listen on. In addition to that, you can visit the Women in Leadership Empowered website. That's wilempowered.com. And on that site, you'll find a free leadership quiz, which is an awesome way to see how you're showing up in the world. So be sure to take that, and you get all kinds of good stuff.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for WIL Talk, sponsored by Women in Leadership Empowered. To learn more about our programs, please visit www.wilempowered.com. We look forward to seeing you in our community.